You're about to never forget the S1 to S4 heart sounds with these memory hacks. But to remember anything, first you need to understand it, and then we lock it in with some memory hacks. By the end of this video, you're going to understand what the heart sounds are, what the gallop rhythms are, and the pathologies that make them abnormal. By the way, my name's Matt. I consistently rank first place at medical school, and I help students and healthcare professionals study medicine smarter and remember more for longer. If that sounds good, then you may want to check out some free pages of my Never Forget study series. The link is in the description. Let's jump into it. You'll likely know already that we have 4 valves which keep blood moving through the heart and the lungs in one direction. As a reminder, blood drains from systemic circulation into the right atrium. It then moves through the valves in the order of the tricuspid, pulmonary, mitral, and aortic. But you'll never forget that by remembering pull my aorta. The valves open to allow blood to flow forwards, and then close to prevent backflow. Importantly, we hear that classic lub-dub heart sounds when these valves close, like someone's banging on the door after it shuts. To understand what we're hearing, let's first remind ourselves of the cardiac cycle. During systole, the ventricles contract to send blood to the lungs through the pulmonary valve, or systemic circulation through the aortic valve. But to prevent backflow into the atria, the tricuspid and mitral valves slam shut. Otherwise, it'll be a pretty inefficient system, and spoiler alert, that can cause heart failure. This is the S1 heart sound, the turbulent blood flow which results from the closure of the mitral and tricuspid valve. We say it's made up of M1 and T1. These sounds are heard so close together that we hear it as S1. Moving on, at the end of systole, the ventricle starts relaxing, which we call isovolumetric relaxation. As soon as the pressure in the ventricles drop below the pressure in the great arteries, the aortic and pulmonary valves start closing. That's when you hear S2. Again, there's 2 sounds, both A2 and P2, which we tend to hear as one sound, but not always. It's not uncommon, and actually totally normal in some instances, to hear both A2 and P2 separately, which we call splitting. But I'm going to explain that one in another video. Anyway, to summarize, the S1 sound is your squeezing systolic lub sound, caused by closure of the mitral and tricuspid valves, whereas S2 is your relaxing diastolic dub sound, when the aortic and pulmonary valves close. S1 and S2 sound like this. Let's move on to when they're abnormal. All you need to do is decide whether the S1 or S2 sound is loud or soft. Let me explain. Let's think of the valve as a door which forces open and drifts back shut with every heartbeat. Let's imagine that you are ventricular contraction. Whenever you want, you suddenly pull the door shut, which is in time with every heartbeat. This is the important part. The wider the door was left open at that point, the louder the slam will be. So think of it like this. S1 will be loud if you're slamming a door which is stiff and stuck open, like in mitral stenosis. Or if you force that door shut earlier than usual, such as in tachycardia or a short PR interval. For a soft S1, think of the door as being quiet. There's several reasons there. Maybe your slamming's got weaker, such as in heart failure. Or the door's already floated back shut by the time you come and slam it, like in first-degree heart block. Or another example, perhaps the door's busted like in mitral regurgitation. The door doesn't slam, it actually prolapses the other way. Let's move on to S2 pathology. Here we're thinking of the pulmonary and aortic valve. Again, you are the door slammer, but this time you are not ventricular contraction. You are the backflow of blood during diastole. S2 will be louder if you slam it with more force, such as in pulmonary hypertension or systemic hypertension. Whereas this time S2 will be soft if the door's stiff to close, such as in aortic stenosis. Or if it generally takes longer to close, such as in aortic regurgitation. Trust me, you're going to remember this for longer if we're active in our revision. So test your active recall by pausing the video right now, and I want you to recall 2 causes of a loud S1. Right, that's the classic S1 and S2 sorted, but you might hear some extra sounds. That's where the gallop rhythms come in. Think of a horse galloping. That classic 3-cadence tone is similar to what you'll hear in someone with a gallop rhythm. Extra heart sounds, which we call S3 or S4, though it is possible, though rare, to hear both of those together. Again, it's due to turbulent blood flow. They only happen in diastole, but this time it tells us whether the ventricle is too floppy or too stiff. They're easy to miss, but not for you, never again. Let's make them unforgettable. To remember S3, imagine you're filling a floppy balloon with water. S3 occurs just after S2 in early diastole, the stage of passive ventricular filling when the mitral and tricuspid valve has reopened. We'll focus on the left ventricle. Let's imagine the mitral valve has opened and blood has started passively rushing in. If the ventricle is dilated and floppy, then that blood starts sloshing around. like you're filling a floppy balloon with water. The low-pitched sloshing sound is pretty much your S3. Just remember S3. S is that it's the start of diastole, and let the 3 remind you of third trimester. A ventricle that's distended. It's most commonly caused by dilated cardiomyopathy, such as following heart failure, but it can be normal in those less than 40 years old, and athletes, and those who are pregnant. Now this is what it sounds like. It has the cadence of the word Kentucky, Kentucky, Kentucky. Just replace the words Ken and Tuck with lub-dub. It might be easier for you to get your head around it if you think of Ken and Tuck as lub-dub. So it will sound like lub-dubby, 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 lub-dubby. For S4, we need to think of a brick wall. It happens in time with the atrial kick, where the small remaining amount of atrial blood is forced into the ventricles. If that ventricle is stiff and hypertrophied, then the ventricular wall thuds back. And that is your S4 heart sound. Think of 4 for 4 walls to remember that it's stiff. It's only ever present in pathology like the ones you're seeing here, particularly ventricular ischemia or hypertrophy. This is how the S4 gallop rhythm sounds. This time it has the cadence of the words Tennessee, but you may find it easier if we replace some of those syllables with lub-dub. So lub-dub, lub-dub, ten lub-dub, ten lub-dub, ten lub-dub, Tennessee, Tennessee, 10 lub-dub. Pause this video and tell me in the comments which gallop rhythm has the sound of Kentucky. For an extra challenge, tell me if that means the ventricle is stiff or floppy. And that's a wrap. I hope you found this helpful. If it did, please like, comment, and share it with your mates. And don't forget, you may be interested to check out those free pages of the Never Forget Study series, which has helped thousands of students, doctors, and other healthcare professionals study medicine smarter and remember more for longer. You can check that out in the link in the description, and I'll see you on the next one.